All right. All rise. How are you? You well? You good? You look fucking great. You look well. Hey, are you a big hole in the ground with water at the bottom? Well, here's a bucket because you look well. You look like an actual well. An actual well. Um, it's so fucking hot out today. I'm not swearing. Um, Weather's so bloody muggy that it asked for my wallet at knife point there. The weather did earlier on. And as well, if you don't like that one, I also think the weather's so muggy that I could drink hot tea out of it. People who drink the green tea, it's fucking so hot. Sorry, this is quality content. Look, it's. I'm feeling. I'm feeling fine, but the setting lead is a bit to be desired, right? I'm in my car again. Okay, I'm in my fucking car again, recording this podcast, and previously I've gone to the park. I fantasized about maybe driving up to Handjab Creek and having a look out at the sea or whatever it is. I was even going to Google some lookout spots. Like potentially dogging spots, but I'm not here to be. Again, I look like a dogging commentator here, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here anyway. I'm not in a park. I'm not at Handjob Creek. I'm outside the deals at Nook Grove here, Nook Grove Shopping Centre, and it's not. Look, it's nothing wrong with that, but it's just it's not. I just thought. I thought what I was going to do is I was going to drive the car somewhere, and then I was like, I wouldn't mind getting like a takeaway coffee. No time to stop. Honestly, no time. I am up against it. So I thought I'll get a takeaway coffee in McDonald's, and I'll throw a few fucking chips in the bag there. Throw some fucking chips in the bag there. The gun, holding the gun under my lap. If anything kicks off, just throw a few fucking chips in the bag there, please as well, please. I'll willingly pay for them. You could just get away with everything if you had a gun. I don't condone it. But, just getting on the bus and, instead of saying 170, please, be like, here you are, and look at that there. Banging it off the glass. Hey, what you make of that? Hey, I think I'll keep, the night link. What do you think of that? Going to Eddie Rockets, ordering loads, and the bill comes, and then, no, you have to pay in advance now, don't you? That's what we had to do the last time we were there. I was there one time. I got in a scrap in Eddie Rockets. I think I talked about this before. I'm not proud of it, but I'm honestly not proud of it. I was being, I was pushed into a corner, and I was forced to say something very misogynistic. And for that, I'm sorry that this is the thing that I had to say. And it wasn't even my own original thing. I stole it off Axl Rose. Axl Rose said this. Basically, we were in Eddie Rockets. And I can't even say. Well, I have to start now. We were in Eddie Rockets, and it was late, and this was about 10 years ago. And it was just as Eddie Rockets became 24 fucking hours. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point. I was sitting down, and my friends. We were in a booth, like a round booth, right? Intimate enough. Not even like it was intimate. I was there with my platonic lady friends, and we were in the booth, and my friend got up to go to the toilet, and another girl came in and sat in her seat, like sat in our booth, in my friend's seat, and I said, sorry, that seat. Like I was surprised she even sat in with the booth, but I was like, I'm sorry, that seat's unfortunately taken, and she goes, I'm not fucking going anywhere. Made it very clear, and I was like, look. What's my friend going to do when she comes back? Like, stand, like, we're in here. There's a group here. There's other seats. Like, you can sit. And she goes, I'm not fuck. She could smell the beta off me, right? Actually, the sharp piss ammonia smell of my beta masculinity, right? She could smell it. And so she was very secure, with where she was. And I said, so I was like, so I did what any good beta male does. I called for security. I called. I was like, security, please, security. This woman This woman is sitting in my friend's seat. Security. Will you please move her? Use violence if necessary. And then her boyfriend came over. And seashells by the seashore. She started screaming at me, and she took a swing at me, and just luckily she was drunk enough that it missed. I did not dodge, or maybe I did, but I definitely would have dodged like 5 to 10 seconds after she threw the dig. A very bad hand-eye coordination, right? So then her boyfriend showed up, and she was like, "What's going on here?" And I, fresh from hearing this story of the VMAs of something Axl Rose said to Kurt Cobain about his wife Courtney Love, I regurgitated this phrase, and I said to the gentleman about his girlfriend, I said, "You need to put a muzzle on your bitch." And he kicked the fucking shit out of me. He kicked. It was one of those fucking Chris Tucker in Rush Hour, like a kick out of nowhere, and be like, "Which one of y'all kick me? Which one of y'all fucking kick me?" And then the scuffle, fell out into the street. She started pulling, my friend's hair. We were all kicked out. And I got the guy in a headlock, and I think I started putting my fingers in his eyes. I think, not full gouge, but like, kind of like, you're not supposed to touch that, you see someone touch the eye. Because I'm a dirty, dirty, dirty player. Well, I'm not. I mean, if it was an actual fight, but like, I and again, I brought it, well, who's to say who started it? This was 10 years ago, right? Awful carry on. And I'm so sorry to the asshole that I said that bitch thing about, the dickhead. I'm so sorry, dickhead, if you're listening. I'm so sorry I said that about you. I should have said, your partner is being a fucking dickhead, and I'm upset about it. That's what I should have said. I should have been my mic drop moment, but no, he gave me a good few. I've been smacked. Too many times have I been smacked. Anyway, don't know how I got onto that. But I'm here in my effing car again, eating I finished the McDonald's fries, but I put the little visor outwards, and some, like the sun visor, you have it to kind of in front of your windscreen, the windshield, and you kind of can use the sun visor, and then sometimes if the sun's coming in from the side, you can kind of move it over to the side. And they stretch out as well. I saw that on TikTok. You can actually pull it even long ways. I'm doing that right now. So I have that kind of guarding partially the sun, but also I don't want someone walking by being like a soft plume eating a fucking smacks in Nutgrove there. Sweating he was. It's not my fault. It's muggy. It's muggy weather. Muggy weather. Anyway, so this is this is as much planning as I've done for this pod. What can I talk to you about? I'm recording this at the moment. I don't have my whole laptop set up that I normally do. I'm recording this off a little handy recorder, a thing called Zoom H5 that I got, that I bought for work with my adult money as an expense, which is an amazing feeling to have, to buy a bit of tech that you genuinely would just love to have anyway, and to be able just to write it off as a kind of work expense, because I'm using it, And I had a version of this, the H1, when it came out about 15 years ago. And that was an example of me, I don't know, I've said this before on the pod, that if you have a kind of passing hobby in something, like, do any bit of it first before you buy all the tech for it. I had a bad habit, and it set me back. It demotivated me. Having an amazing piece of tech, or spending 50 quid on like Fruit Loops or some sort of music making DAW system to make beats, and then not having a fucking iota on how to use it, But then I'm like, I should be able to use it. This should be coming naturally to me, and then getting frustrated, because you ran before you could crawl, bro. And when I had this Zoom before, I didn't get any use out of it. But now I feel vindicated in my mid-30s, my early 30s, that I have this kind of upgraded version of it, and I'm using it for exactly what it's used for, a handy recorder, to actually record something that needed to be recorded, you know? So one of these guys pushing the trolleys looks exactly like David Bowie. Like kind of Young Americans kind of David Bowie. He looks great. Lads are really rocking, very different hairstyles at the moment. You got the mullet. Yeah, lads really embracing the curls, kind of floppy curls, like a floppy little fucking head. Like a big head of floppy curls. A grown man. And I think I'm not having a go at the guy or any of them. But that's just, you wouldn't have seen that back in my day. And I think it's great, No, I mean, not going as far as, JT, but I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be bringing up JT. Get me down again. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee here. Just spilled a bit of latte on my leg there. But you know what? Just blends in with the other stains. I look like fucking camo print now with the amount of dad stains that I have now. I am stains, Salvador Dali, do you take drugs? I am drugs. Tony, is that a stain? I am stains. All I am is stains. For now, I was looking up, I was going to get some jeans from Koss there. And I was having a look and I was like, wow, kind of nice woolen kind of blend. They're normally about €100. They're going for like €40, And I try and buy all my trousers under €50, when I can. And then I'm like, yeah, nice wool. And then I'm like, no. That's going to be porridge, And I tell you, kids are very good. My niece and nephew are very good for spotting. Oh, look, you got a fucking state of your fucking jeans there, pal. Oh, look, you have a little crumb there on your leg. I know, I do, yeah, You have a hole in your shoe. Oh, look, Tony has a hole in his shoe. Why do you have a hole in your shoe? Because these are Vans. They're not very well made. Because I once kind of saw a cool kind of skater guy. He had a hole in his shoe. I didn't think it looked scruffy there. I suppose I'm kind of emulating that. But if you're pointing it out, then maybe it's not the aesthetic I should be going for. I thought I could get away with it, okay? Anyway, look, let me tell you about this week's sponsor. Who is it actually? Who is it this week, John? Sorry, I'm chatting to my producer, John. Who is it this week, John? So we just get so many sponsors coming in and out here. The Dubliner. Oh, that's great. They're a fine brand. They're a fine bunch of people. Right, let me tell you about the Dubliner. The Dubliner is a fine-ass whiskey. So if I were to do like a parody of Cardi B's Wet-Ass Pussy and do fine-ass whiskey, I might even do something like, from the tipple on my tongue, it's a fine-ass whiskey. Now pull up a seat and rest your bum and drink some fine-ass whiskey, the Dubliner Irish whiskey. And let me tell you this. So you go into the whiskey shops and they just bombard you with these questions. They try and shock you. They say stuff like, do you like the taste of actual fire? And you're meant to nod and say yes, right? Or they say, do you like the taste of actual bogland, swamp, the taste of peat? And they even spit and you're meant to be like, yeah. Because if you say no, then they're like, oh my God, you don't have a refined palate. But in reality, those things don't taste very nice, and I don't want them in my whiskey. So after they push them on you, the next one they're going to push on you, they're going to say, or do you want to buy this trendy whiskey that doesn't taste very nice? And the owner is a megalomaniac millionaire who sparks out owl lads in his local pub, then buys the pub and bans the owl lad? Do you want to put more money in that fella's pocket? Yeah, or no? And you're meant to be nod along. Or do you want this whiskey that is locally distilled, out of the heart of the Liberties? They try new interesting things. This whiskey that I'm holding here is called the Dubliner. This is in a green label. What they do is they put this in a bourbon barrel after to let it kind of age and get a hint of sweetness, so you can use it in an Irish whiskey cocktail or a bourbon cocktail. Do you want to try this one that is in a beer cask that's teamed up? They've teamed up with Rascals Brewing Company to put this in a kind of smoked stout kind of taste of a whiskey. Great with an old-fashioned. Do you want to try that? Or do you want to try this balls-to-the-wall, insanely tasty honeycomb liqueur? It's literally like tasting a Crunchy Bar in liquid form. And you're like, that sounds more my speed. Well, if that's the case, you need to go to the DLD.com and you need to shop and get yourself some Dubliner Irish whiskey, the sponsors of this week's podcast, now and for however long we keep doing it. But look, let's get into it. I am here in my car and I got a lot of shit to get off my chest on the Tony Cantwell Shitshow.
It's Tony Cantwell Shitshow. And I know.
The French champagne. Lovely stuff. So update, guys. On the last pod, I was saying about how I had not booked anything for me and my wife for our date night, and I said how emasculated I felt the fact that I was not able to within very little notice now, to be fair to me, figure out how to get a booking for anywhere, and there was. It didn't happen, guys. It didn't happen. We cycled around. We were all dolled up. My wife was all dolled up. And we were cycling around just within 5k of our gaff, looking for anywhere. It was like Joseph and Mary in a nativity, rocking up, being like, please, my wife is without pint. We need somewhere to sit and drink, please. And some little fucking 7-year-old with a towel on his head and a belt being like, there's no room here. You couldn't swing a cat in here, you know? And just, honestly, it was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking thing to experience. After like the third pub, Terry was like, look, come on, we just get some chipper. And, we got a nice bottle of rosé in the fridge. And I thought, you know what? That sounds great. And I know that might sound corny, but I think it was actually better. I think, as corny as it might sound, it's just us, That's all. I was fucking shy. It was shy. maybe you can whip out that. Oh, it's just it was perfect. It was just us. Maybe if we're I don't know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel in some rom-com. It was just us. But no, it was shy, and I wasn't talking to Terry, and I made it even worse by sulking. so it wasn't good, But you know what? I was very proud of the fact that I didn't take off my glasses and say, please, give it, because I got respect for myself. You know what I mean? But it was tough. It was tough. And then the chipper took ages. And we were just staring at them, And I don't understand, but it's not on them. I mean, I felt bad for the people who work in the chipper because we were just staring at them. It was like two children of the corn outside, dolled up, not chatting to each other on a date, staring at the chipper men, And it's not fair to them. But I don't understand why it took so long. And I don't understand the chipper etiquette, because sometimes you go in and you're like, you order something that they have right there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's right there, like a battered sausage, and you're still the fourth person. You come in, yes, you're fourth in the queue, but you say a battered sausage, and you can see it there. It's in perspex there, under the heat lamp, and you're like, that battered sausage, can I have that one? They're like, yeah. And they're just staring away, and then serving the other people, getting the big bags. A couple of people on Just Eat are getting their order, And literally, I'm like, just, my friend, please just give me that battered sausage and I'll be on my way. Please. I can see it right there. It's not going to get any hotter. I don't need it any hotter. But still you get served fourth. I don't understand. Sometimes some chippers are like, they'll serve in the order of what's cooked, So they'll be like, okay, so there's that, But if I'm just going in looking for, sausage and chips, that's right there, bro. You know what I mean? And I can see the chips over there. I don't know. But I had a dinner box because I was sulking. Yeah, I want 3 bits of chicken in it. And Terry had a chicken burger. She said it was on par with any of the better chicken burgers she's had. She said it was one of the best chicken burgers she's had. And I thought, that's shocking. That's mad. And she knows the chicken burger hype. Do you know what I mean? The old the chicken sandwich hype of 2020-21. In other news, I had the best Chinese I've ever had. Did I stammer? I had the best Chinese I've ever had. I got it from Scent in Churchtown. It was out of this world. Scent, I've been told, by some of the lads in the shop. This is the place that, don't know if they invented the spice bag, but they have perfected it. This is the go-to place for a spice bag. Even look at the menu; it's a whole spice bag and variations of spice bag menu, which is what you want. Do you know what I mean? Enough of these Chinese acting like, no, what we really do is the whole, egg foo young, beef black bean and all that stuff, when and then extras. You're always having to. We're all just ordering from the extras. Do you know what I mean? Let's stop ordering from the extras. Let's put the bits front and center in the menu. That's where everyone is ordering. Everyone's ordering from the extras, the additional bits. Put that front and center, and that's what Scent did, and it blew me away. I was sitting in. I was watching Zodiac, and I was tucking into that, and it was phenomenal. Like chicken pieces that were not just crisp. Do you know what I mean? I thought spice bag chicken is just crisp. It's just the crisp. It's just the salt and chili. But this was juicy. It was crispy. It had just the right amount of very spicy, I have to say. Chips were out of this world. Some of the best curry sauce I've ever had. Imho. It blew me away. I was very, very impressed. I'll be ordering from there again. But I think people need to fess up to it. You know, the Chinese people are getting people are getting the Conor Ryan special. Do you know what I mean? People order, like that's why these you see a big dirty Chinese, an Olympus Mons Chinese, it goes viral on TikTok, and rightfully so. My mate Bob is trying to get me to challenge Conor Ryan, the influencer, the young entrepreneur. He has a breakfast. He's big on Instagram and TikTok, and he challenges someone to eat a breakfast roll against him every Saturday. But it's a speed related one, and I'm not mad on the speed. I'm not mad on the speed challenges. If it's an amount of food, that's more my scene. That's more my trough. You know, that's more my trough. If it's a speed, then you're getting into how do I eat the bread first and drink water and all that stuff. And I don't want to have a mouthful of water and bread just floating around in there. Do you know what I mean? That's not my scene. You know, eating all the bits off it in bit and chomp, swallow. That doesn't sound like any fun. If it's a case of eating the biggest roll, that's a challenge that only 5 pigs like you have finished this before. Do you know what I mean? That's more my scene. Or spice, maybe a spice kind of scene, you know. But not the speed. So, look, but he's adamant. He's like, you need to challenge Conor to this. I'm very chuffed that he thinks that I can do it, but I don't think so. All right, sorry, I'm after having to move there. I scared a woman. A woman was scared. A woman got scared of me. A woman was walking by with her bags. She looked into my window. She got spooked. Because for whatever reason, it's a terrifying sight seeing a sweaty man in a car on a hot day with a microphone. So and you know what as well? And look, this is going to sound insane. She didn't apologize. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that if someone jumps out at you on the street, you should apologize. But, she looked in my window. Look, I get enough of scaring people when I sidle up to them, like in an office or something like that. I'm always, I need to carry a bell. I've said this before in the pod, that I have a bad habit of just absolutely scaring and terrifying people. I walk up to them, even if I'm chewing loudly so as to, alert people of my presence. Like, I'm like, how are you doing, Siobhan? Ah! But she looked in my window. And she got scared and then kind of looked like annoyed, and I walked away. She should have come back here and said, I'm sorry I made you feel like Mel B. Scary, when you're really Emma, a baby, Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know what as well? I'll be honest with you. I was going to do a whole Big Brother thing here, where I was going to talk about my adventures in the Big Brother house. And, normally I can just riff on that, and I can just straight from the top of the dome I'm chatting shite in the microphone. But for whatever reason right now, I just cannot get over the fact, and this is the presence. I wouldn't exactly call it kind of stage fright, but I'm just completely present that I'm talking, and every single word I'm hearing myself say, and I can't get out of my way. And I felt this whole pod. I actually don't even think I should have told you that thing that I said about Tier 1 and Eddie Rockets. I think that is misogynistic, even if I said it fucking 10 years ago. You know what I mean? There's no excusing for shite like that. I mean, maybe there is, but I shouldn't be fucking telling you on a podcast. You know what I mean? And it's examples of that kind of thing where I'm thinking, And that's, yes, your one did look in this car. No, your one after that, who got scared, not your one in Eddie Rockets. The other one did get scared and then I left. But also part of the reason I left was like, I don't think I can do a fucking podcast today. I don't think I can do a podcast. I can't get out of my way. And I feel like when I have a very low amount of RAM, I start just saying things. It's like when you start swearing on stage, or you start making kind of lewd jokes to try and win people back with the least amount of effort, or just to kind of, or it's like Shabnab in Big Brother, dancing like Michael Jackson to try and win an audience over, and I'm telling you these secrets, not these secrets, but, deplorable stuff I said to a woman in an Eddie Rockets, And reality right now, rather than do a podcast, tell you what I want to do. I want to disappear down the back of the fucking couch. That's where I want to go. Down with all the €2 and tenner notes that I have in my couch. Because I'm a rich celebrity. I'm not. I do comedy in Ireland. But look, that's where I want to be. I want to disappear down the back of the couch and not show up for work today. That's how I feel. I cannot get out of my way. And I think I need to just look, podcasts will still come, but I think I need to figure out a better way of doing this. When I started this podcast, it was a beautiful outlet. It was to go along with doing stand-up. Things were moving. I was going to gigs. I was, I could tell you things. Most of the podcast was me telling you what happened at a gig when I was coming on to Brezzy and stuff like that. And then over COVID, it was like, doing 2 podcasts a week, but it was I could put a whole week's worth of work into them. It was my 100% work outlet to do this. But now as things have been, opening up, I'm getting other work, and it's been great, and it's fantastic. And I'm sure you hear my voice on the radio, and I'm doing bits. I got an ad that's coming out that I'm very excited with, that I was acting in. That's why I didn't know the pod last week. I'm very excited about it. I think it's gonna be very funny. But I kind of just thought that I could I'm not going to lie, I thought that I would have the leftover RAM to be able to do the podcast. But I need to figure something out right now, because this podcast is my favorite thing to do in the world. It's the best job I've ever had. And I seem to be doing a lot of other things that are making this suffer. Or at least me not be able to kind of perform at a level. See, they're selling Viagra in pharmacies now. So I think I need to figure something out. Don't worry, I'm not saying there's none. I mean, this is literally just me thinking out loud. And I'll keep all this in. Because I'm trying to run out the clock here. This is, I'm just, call me Tony Candles, because I'm burnt out. For now. I'll sleep. I'll feel better. I'm sure if I just left this podcast and I didn't put this one out, but it's 11 o'clock before this podcast is supposed to go out. I found it a tough time getting this one together, getting to even get my thoughts together. But again, do you know what I mean? It's a fucking cushy job. I'm not out ice road trucking. I'm not looking after crabs in the sea. Oh God. And I'm a bit tired. And unfortunately, I gotta just. This is the best I can do right now. I'll be back next week. Hopefully well rested. Hopefully out of me strop. Hopefully recording it in the morning when my mind actually works and not leaving it to the last minute. Because you deserve so much better than that. And to tell you who else deserves much better than that, the sponsors of this week's podcast, the Dubliner Irish Whiskey. Look, if you want to hear better podcasts, much better put together podcasts where I have the gumption to even finish it, I highly recommend listening to the most recent Patreon episode where I tell you about the most annoying man I ever met on holidays and why the word hello drives me up the wall. But if you can't do that and you can't, throw a couple of shekels that way, I totally understand. I will be here, well rested, next Tuesday. Will it be Big Brother? Let's not promise anything. Let's just get a good podcast out. Next week on the Tony Cantwell Shitshow. Bye-bye. It's Tony Cantwell Shitshow.